Hello, guys. My name is Nicholas Earle, and welcome back to another edition of Talking Baseball with the Earle Brothers. A solo video here today because we're talking prospects. I know a lot of people during trade deadline, this channel included, want to talk about, who's the top guys getting traded? Is it Suarez? Is it Gallen? Is it Alcantara? Is there like a Clase or something like that? Well, we're going to do the flip side on that one here. Who are the prospects that could be traded in those trades and things along those lines? We're going to be breaking it down team by team. I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 teams we'll be talking about. 7 from the American League, 7 from the National League, who I think are more certain than not buyers at the deadline. We'll be looking at their farm systems, and I'll be kind of breaking down who we think is untouchable and who we think could be those prospects heading out in a trade. And we will kick it on off with the first team in that list right there. Let me get up, and we're going to be using MLB top prospects, the MLB page or the minor league page, which we'll be starting with the New York Yankees. And really, we're going to be looking at just like top 10 to 12 prospects type of thing along those lines. For me, the Yankees have one of the worst farm systems in baseball. They have one top 100 prospect. That's George Lombard Jr., and he is currently ranked 33 according to MLB.com. Other than that, none of these other guys are going to be none of these guys are rated. I see a few guys here. If the Yankees want to be aggressive at this deadline, I think they absolutely will be. And a couple of those guys would be someone like a Spencer Jones could be an interesting piece. I know some selling teams might be interested in an outfielder like Spencer Jones. One thing we've noticed the Yankees do a decent amount of is draft some pitching. Ben Hess and Bryson Cunningham, two pitchers that I think we could see them be interested in trading away. I think any of these pitchers really, whether it's Ben Hess, Bryce Cunningham, an Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, a Chase Hampton, a Brock Selvage, Henry Lillane, or a Cam Chitter, I think those are guys that they can throw into trades. And one thing we've seen the Yankees do is they have a bunch of low-level pitchers because they like to draft a lot of pitchers because they can flip them pretty quickly as assets, because we know pitching will get you more than hitting prospects. And I do believe that we could see the Yankees do that a little bit here with some of their lower end pitching prospects. So that's kind of who I'm looking at to get traded, is more of their pitchers than it is their hitters. And I do think they will be aggressive. Now, how aggressive can they be with this farm system? Well, the trade market is not super, super crazy expensive, or not expensive this year, but like there's not like that big name that's a pending free agent or something like that. And there right now that is declared trade eligible. Like, I feel like the biggest guys we're talking about is Suarez as a rental. I don't know if he'll get you much, but like a Duran, the Yankees do not have the prospects to go out and get a Duran. They just don't. Yohan Duran, reliever for the Twins. I don't know if they really have enough for that unless they throw maybe a major league piece in there, something along those lines. So for me, the Yankees, they're going to be more, I think, looking at the rental market and things along those lines, and they have plenty of lower level pitching that they can trade away in order to make that work. The second team we'll be talking about here is the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that I'm not surprised they are where they are, but I know a lot of people are. They have 2 players in the top 100. I don't know how tradable they are, though, in Arjun Nimmala and Trey Savage. I think Savage is up in the major leagues by the end, by next year sometime. And Arjun Nimmala, he's still in High A, Vancouver. He's starting to play a little bit better. I believe he struggled to start his minor league career, and they sent him down to development a little bit more to try to get him to advance in his game, and he was able to do that a little bit. Players like Ricky Tiedemann, Jake Bloss, I think are trade eligible. I think that's where they're going to start with. Maybe an Aurelus Martinez, depending on who they're really trading for. If the teams are a little bit further out, someone like a Fernando Perez or a Cahal Steven, a couple lower prospect pitching, high A guys, if they're looking more on the rental market. But really, for me, with the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't think they have a good enough farm system to go out. And once again, I think they're very similar to the Yankees. They have a slightly better because they have multiple top guys. To just whether or not they want to trade a Savage, whether or not they want to trade an Arjun Nabala is another question. But with that being said, if they say we're looking at a bigger player and Savage is on the table and the Mall is on the table, all of a sudden this farm system can play a little bit more. But if those two guys are untouchable, they're probably in the rental markets as well. And probably Martinez or Tiedemann, I think, will be the top guys traded from here. I would lean more towards Tiedemann and Bloss, especially if they're looking to trade with someone like an Arizona Diamondbacks. I would expect it to be more like this if they're looking at a Zach Gallen, if they're looking at a Merrill Kelly, something along those lines. I think one of these guys will be more along those lines with somebody who could be MLB ready next year to kind of step into that position. So overall, not the greatest of farm systems for the Toronto Blue Jays, but definitely one that has some exciting pieces that teams could be interested in trading for. Next, we'll move on to the Boston Red Sox. They've been a tricky one because they absolutely do have the prospect pool. If they want to go out and make a splash trade, they absolutely could. They're not trading Roman Anthony. I promise you that. He is not going anywhere. He's the number 1 ranked prospect in baseball. Once he gets enough at-bats, he will be graduated off this list. Franklin Arias is 37th in baseball. Garcia is 97th. And Tole just got into the top 100. He is number 100 on the list. So they have 4 players in the top 100. Once again, Anthony is not tradable. Neither is Franklin Arias. Maybe the password is there in Garcia. I don't really see them really forcing a trade there. They do have a lot of outfield, though. They already and here's the thing with Garcia is I think the only way we see him traded is if they have no intentions on trading Duran, because that outfield is still has a lot of pieces in there, and there's kind of like that log jam in the outfield there with Roman Anthony, with Duran, with Rafaela. There's a few guys there that they have in the outfield. So if they look to trade Garcia, it's because they have too much outfield. So I could see them maybe if they want to do that. I don't really have seen that, but if I had to put a marker on who would be the top traded prospect on this team, it would be Garcia. I think Garcia, the 97th overall prospect according to MLB.com, could be that guy. If they're looking more down the list, Luis Perales, double-A pitcher, could be someone they're interested in as well. If we're looking more towards the rentals, David Sandlin, Connolly Earle, could be a couple guys. I'm looking more at pitchers to be traded, like pitching prospects. It also depends on what teams that they're trying to trade with. It could be a Miguel Bleis, an outfielder, high A, if the team's a little bit more in rebuild mode. But if I had to put a target on somebody here, it'd be Garcia. I think Garcia would be the highest one there. I don't see them trading Franklin Arias, and Roman Anthony is going absolutely nowhere. The final team in the American League East, because we have 4 teams in the East to talk about. The Tampa Bay Rays will close that out. They've got a nice system. They got one of the top-rated systems according to Fangraphs. Now, granted, they only have 3 players in the top 100. Carson Williams is 29th. Theo Gillen is 64th. And Xavier Isaac is 68th. I don't see any of them going anywhere, honestly. I see Carson Williams being coming up to the major leagues here within the next little bit and potentially being the shortstop of the future with that team. Theo Gillen, he's in high A. We don't expect him for a little bit. He was drafted last year out of high school and late in the first round by the Tampa Bay Rays. Xavier Isaac, first baseman. I think he's somebody where next year he'll be up and he could be the first baseman for the next few years for the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't know if the Tampa Bay Rays are in that type of position to be trading away top assets like that. And I don't see the Rays as a team that would do that. That's why the Rays are kind of tricky when it comes to this exercise of who could be their top prospect traded, because I don't know if they are still a question mark whether or not they trade any buy or sell. Now, granted, they are fifth in the American League East. They're 4 games above 500. They're 5.5 games behind there, but they are a game and a half behind for the wild card, behind the Boston Red Sox and the Seattle Mariners. So it all depends on what they plan on doing, whether or not they buy or sell. I don't see them really trading anything higher than Brody Hopkins. Maybe Brody Hopkins is your top guy, but still, I don't see them trading their 6th guy in their system for anything this year. I don't see them feeling the need to do anything like that. We'll see, but I don't see them trading anybody big on this team. Maybe it's a Trevor Harrison, maybe it's a Gary Gilhill, something along those lines, but not somebody that's not a team I think is going to go absolutely crazy when it comes to the deadline. One team that I think is going to be a big time buyer and has the assets to do it. How about these Detroit Tigers, who have 5 players in the top 100? Kevin McGonigal is the number 6 prospect in baseball. Max Clark is 10th. We saw them both in the futures game. Bryce Rayner is 38th. Jose Briseño is 55th. And Tyron Lorenzo is 85th. And here's the thing. If you're the Tigers, you have a good enough system below them, below your top 5 to really be able to make some moves. And if you want to go for the bigger splash, absolutely. I think the biggest name on this list that could be traded is probably Tyron Lorenzo. I don't really see them. I don't see them trading McGonigal. I don't see them trading Max Clark unless it's an absolute like blockbuster type of trade. And I don't even know who would even be that type of player on that type of trade right now, unless it is a top guy with a lot of control that maybe teams are looking to get out of the money of or something along those lines. I don't know who that would be, though, in this deadline, honestly. But, I mean, if they want to go with an Owen Hall, who is an high A, he's not going to be up for a while, but he's somebody that maybe a rebuilding team like a Rockies or Marlins or something like that would be interested in. Troy Melton, AAA pitcher, could be somebody that a team could be interested in, maybe an Arizona Diamondbacks or something along those lines. That maybe Troy Melton could be somebody in a Zach Gallen trade, in a Merrill Kelly trade, something like that. Maybe a Ty Madden as well. We've seen him in the major leagues already this year. This Tigers team has the farm system that is plenty deep to be able to go and make a move and not really feel it. Like, they can go out and get a Gallen or a Merrill Kelly and trade their 10th or 12th prospect, and they'll be fine. Like, this is a Tigers team that is built really, really strong. Love their top 3 guys with McGonigal, Clark, and Rayner. They ain't going nowhere. Maybe Briseño could be somebody that they look to deal. I don't really think so, though, even though they do have Torque at first. I think that he could be the catcher there, Briseño, but you never know. They also have Dylan Dingler, who has been really strong for them. We're really looking at players who are going to be blocked, or maybe some pitching prospects that they can look to deal. This Tigers team is going to be all in this year, and it would not surprise me if their big acquisition starts with Jose Briseño or Tyron Lorenzo, who are 55th and 85th respectively in the rankings. All right, we'll move on to the second to last American League team, which is going to be the Houston Astros. And here's the problem with the Astros, and they haven't added in Xavier Nayans yet, who was their first-round pick because he hasn't signed yet. But with the Houston Astros, they do not have a good farm system in the slightest. Fangraphs had them rated dead last. So it's going to be very difficult for the Astros to really be able to trade for much at this deadline. Good news for the Astros, though, is they don't really need much. I think a rental corner outfielder, something along those lines, a left-handed bat is all they really need. And it could be a Walker Janik. It could be a Miguel Aloya. It could be an Anderson Brito. They have a lot of their top guys are all very, very young, a couple rookie ball guys, a couple high A guys. It all depends on who they're looking to trade with. But this is an Astros system that's not very good. Bryce Matthews could be traded. That would not shock me whatsoever because he is their top prospect, and he is their only top 100 prospect. He is 95th overall. So this is a really poor system, and this could be one of those years with the Houston Astros where maybe they trade him because this is the last year they feel they can compete with this core, with the Altuve, with Bregman, with stuff like with Valdez and stuff along those lines. I think this is the year that the Astros trade someone like Bryce Matthews if they get the right return piece, or he can just come up and play for them in the major leagues because I think we've already seen him make his debut. Same with Jacob Melton. I have a feeling if the Astros are going to trade pieces, they're going to come right from the major league roster like they did last year with the Yusei Kikuchi trade, where they traded a Joey Loperfido, where they traded a Jake Bloss, things along those lines. I think they're more likely to do that than they are to really be able to get much for these prospects because they just don't have a good prospect field, prospect system at all. They have arguably the worst in baseball, which that happens when you've been competing and winning divisions and winning pennants the last, 8 years. So that's going to happen. This farm system is ultimately really depleted if you're the Houston Astros. They're not going to be able to get much here. I'm going to say Bryce Matthews is the top one that could be traded in this for this exercise, but I don't really see them doing much. Talk about a complete 180, though. We go from arguably one of the worst to arguably the best farm system in baseball. And this is not even including a Cade Anderson, who they just drafted 3rd overall. This Mariners farm system is so much fun. Now, currently they are tied with the Red Sox for the 2nd wild card spot, and they are a game behind the Yankees for the top wild card spot. They're not catching the Astros for that division. Actually, never mind. I take that back. They're 4 games behind the Astros, so they could still very well compete for that division. And when we look at this Mariners team, they have 8 players. This is the most out of any team that we'll be talking about today. 8 players in the top 100. Cole Emerson, 16. Lorenzo Montas is 27th. Celestian is 51st. Harry Ford is 53rd. Michael Arroyo is 62nd. Johnny Farmelo is 63rd. Oh, wow. He made it in there. Ciente, the switch pitcher, made it in there at 76. And Ryan Sloan rounds out the list at 80. They have 8 top 80 prospects. I think they are definitely the best farm system in baseball at the moment, just on top 100 alone. Now, you have, at least for the teams that are going to be buying at the deadline here, which the Mariners should absolutely look to buy. I think that they should be a team looking to make moves. They need to get a couple bats. Maybe they go a little bit bigger. Maybe they look for an Eugenio Suarez. I've heard a lot of rumors that he can head back to Seattle. I think they should be looking for bats at the deadline. Maybe a Ryan O'Hearn could be an interesting guy as well. And maybe if they look for a bigger name that has some control, they can trade one of those guys. Here's the thing, though, is I think for this exercise, I think that it could be a Johnny Farmelo, who is in high A, that they look to trade, or someone along those lines. I think him or Arroyo could be another guy as well. Harry Ford, actually, I take that back. Harry Ford could be that guy because trying to find him a position on the team, maybe he's a DH, but here's the thing, and maybe he swaps off with Cal Raleigh. With Cal Raleigh as the catcher for the next few years, he's kind of blocked out for having like a clear path to the starting role there. I think Harry Ford could be one of those guys that is mocked in a lot of Seattle trades, especially if they're looking to go get a bigger name trade piece with control. I have a feeling they're not looking pitching, but like if you were looking at like a Sandy Alcantara or a pitcher with some control, that's not a bad look. I think if you're finding a bat with some nice control, Harry Ford can absolutely be that trade piece that they look to deal off. in order to make a bigger trade, get that done. I think he is their top guy that gets traded at the deadline, catcher Harry Ford, just because I feel like he's been sitting in AAA long enough and he does not have a clear path to the major leagues. I think that's going to be that could be his ticket out, is that he is somebody who is one of the top, not only the top prospect on the Mariners traded, I think he could potentially be, other than one team that we'll talk about in a couple of teams, top prospects traded away at the deadline. I think Harry Ford could be absolutely one of, if not the best prospect dealt at the deadline in general, not just on the Mariners. We'll move on to the next team, which is not the Phillies. It is, I clicked the wrong one. It is the New York Mets. New York Mets have four players in the top 100: Jet Williams, Jonathan, Carson Bench, and Nolan McLean. I don't really see them trading any of these guys. They're going to have to be really blown away in order to trade, and I just don't know if David Stearns is going to go ahead and make a trade of that altitude. And I think it's going to be a lot more of like bullpen help and rentals and things along those lines that the Mets are going to be looking at, rather than going and buying with control. And the question is, who could be that top guy traded? I think Brennan Sproat could potentially be that top guy traded. He was in the top 100 to start the year. He's not looked particularly great. My only worry with saying that he could be the top guy traded is that he is, I mean, it'd be selling low on him, which I don't know if they're necessarily going to do. I think Jesus Baez absolutely is somebody who they can look to trade as well. I've seen him mocked in a few different trades, and I think he's going to be one of those prospects that is just in that range value-wise that could very well be somebody who leads a package for a rental, maybe for someone like, I keep mentioning the name, Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. I think Jesus Baez is one of those prospects that can lead a package like that. A Jeremy Rodriguez, and Jonathan Santucci, a Marco Vargas, a Nick Morabito, someone like that. And I've heard Jack Weddinger's name in a couple trades as well. They have a really solid rotation in Syracuse. They have a dynamite rotation in AA right now in Binghamton, as the Rumble Ponies are one of the best teams in minor league baseball. So I have a feeling if you're going to see a lot of trades by the Mets during this deadline, Binghamton's going to get gutted a little bit. I think that's where they're going to look to trade from. I think a Jonathan Santucci could be one of those guys. I think the top prospect traded for the Mets is either going to be Jesus Baez or a Brandon Sproat at the deadline. I don't think they trade any of their top 100 guys, because I can see Nolan McLean in a Mets uniform at the end of this year. I could see Jonathan in the rotation next year. I think Jet Williams could be the starting center fielder next year. I think Carson Bench could be a starting center fielder next year. So, I think that the way the Mets are looking at these top prospects is that they can come in and they can have roles next year on the team. So for me, I think Jesus Baez is somebody who they can look to trade away. Maybe it's a Brandon Sproat, but I think he can also be in that rotation next year potentially. So for me, I think Baez, would be the safer pick to say he's the top guy traded. Wouldn't surprise me to see Brandon Sproat though. Or if they're really looking to go for a little bit more of a bigger name with control, I think a Nolan McLean, or if they want to sell high on a Jonathan, I think those could be options as well. I don't see them really doing either of that though. So I think Jesus Baez or maybe a Brandon Sproat's the top guy. All right, let's talk about top guys potentially getting dealt at the deadline here. I think this is a Dave Dombrowski type of all-in push this year. They have 6 guys in the top 100. Andrew Painter is the 8th ranked prospect in baseball. Andrew Miller is 20. Justin Crawford is 46. Eduardo Tate is 60. Mick Abel is 84, and Escobar is 94. And this is one of the only teams that I'm going to say, I think anybody on everybody's on the table here. Maybe Andrew Painter's the only one, but if the Phillies are going to look for more of an all-in push type of move, and it would be a big name guy. Would not shock me if Andrew Painter is one of those guys that is in conversation with a lot of the higher end elite trade pieces at the deadline that have control and things along those lines. Would not be surprised if the other team says we're starting with Andrew Painter, and if they say no, they hang up the phone type of thing. I think Aiden Miller is another guy that could be traded as well. I think the Phillies will trade the top prospect of this deadline. The only team else I can see really trading the top prospect could be the Dodgers or could be the Padres, and we'll talk about those those teams towards the end there. But the Philadelphia Phillies, I think, are in all-in mode, and I think anybody on this list other than maybe Andrew Painter is on the board and tradable, depending on how big of a splash the Philadelphia Phillies are looking to make here at the deadline, which I absolutely think they are, because I think this is the last year of the core, really. The last year of the window of competing for the Phillies, I think, is slamming in their face at the end of this year, with Schwarber being a free agent, with Castellanos being a free agent, with Harper getting another year older and things along those lines. I think this Phillies team, if they're going to have one more push in them, it's going to be this year, and they're going to go all in. And I think Dombrowski is going to say the hell with the prospects. We will trade anybody and everybody in order to make one last run at this. And I think that's what we're going to be looking at here with the Phillies. I think Aiden Miller's on the table. I think Crawford's on the table. I think Taid's on the table. I think Abel's on the table. Escobar and Chance and Nori and anybody and everybody's on the table here to be traded at the deadline. I think they're going to be one of the biggest and most aggressive teams at the deadline. And I think a lot of these prospects are on the table, if not all of them are on the table to be traded at the deadline. We'll move on. We'll go from one ultra-aggressive team to another ultra-aggressive team, as we have the Chicago Cubs, which I think are going to be super aggressive as well at the deadline. They have currently 5 players in the top 100. Owen Casey's number 40. Moises Ballesteros is 50. Jefferson Rojas is 61. Kevin Alcantara is 83rd. And Jackson Wiggins is 99th. This is another team that I think basically anybody and everybody's on the table right now. And when it comes to, because this team is going to go all in right this year, because there's no certainty that Kyle Tucker resigns with them at all. And they're going to look to, and here's their offense is so good that they can look to go for bigger name bullpen pieces, bigger name starters with control, because this farm system is awesome. Owen Casey, awesome. He's blocked right now, though, because I don't know where he's going to be playing with PCA, Kyle Tucker, and Seiya Suzuki in the outfield. Moises Ballesteros, I mean, maybe he gets into that catcher's role next year or at the end of this year, but he's another guy who could be traded. Jefferson Rojas, I mean, Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson, I think, are blocking him right now. And currently he's in AA. He could be gone. Kevin Alcantara, I think he's as good as gone. I would have your bag packed if you're Alcantara. And we're saying that about the 60th ranked prospect in all of baseball. My bad, 83rd. And I think Jackson Wiggins could be another guy who's gone. I think a lot of these guys, other than Ballesteros, I think this is another team where, depending on the player, anybody's on the table. If you're the Chicago Cubs, you're all in. If you're the Cubbies this year, all in. And I absolutely think that Owen Casey could be traded at the deadline. Jefferson Rojas could be traded at the deadline. Alcantara, gone. Like, this is a team that is going to compete this year, that is going to go all in this year. The Chicago Cubs are going to be one of the most aggressive teams at the deadline, looking specifically for pitching, because their offense is fine. They have nothing to worry about with their offense. I think they can leave that lineup as is, and it can continue to be one of the best in baseball. So for me, when it comes to this, it is anybody and everybody's on the table. If you're a Chicago Cubs prospect, I would have your bag packed during the deadline, because there's a very high chance you get traded, especially if you're a top prospect. So for me, Cubs are going to be one of the most aggressive teams at the deadline and could very well trade the top prospect at the deadline in Owen Casey. We'll move on. Another team with a really nice farm system that I just don't know if they're going to trade from, because it's not really their MO. because the Milwaukee Brewers have a really strong system here. They have 6 players in the top 100 when it comes to their prospect system. Jesus Mate is number 7. Big fan of Jesus Mate. I really want to go see him play in Carolina this year. Jacob Mizorowski is 19th. Luis Pena is 36th. Cooper Pratt is 41st. Jefferson Quaro is 67th. Logan Henderson is 88th. I don't know if they traded into your top guys, though, because I think if the Brewers are in the market for anything, it would be probably a rental. It's probably going to be a rental that they can get away with trading a Tyler Black for. It would be a rental that they can get away with trading someone like a Bishop Letson or a Bryce McCage or something like that. I think that's where they're going to be trading from, rather than Luis Pena, who I'm a big fan of as well. That Carolina team, that Mudcats team with how the Brewers farm system is built is insane. Absolutely love that team. But like when we're looking at this team with the Brewers, I don't know how much they're gonna do with trading this year. I think it'll be a rental bat or two. I think their pitching is fine, their bullpen's fine, where they don't really have to mess with that too much. This team is absolutely on fire right now. I think it'll be a rental or two for bats, and that's just about it. So that being said, they're not going to trade much. I think Tyler Black will be their top guy traded at the deadline. Maybe a Luke Adams, but I'm leaning more towards Tyler Black. So we'll go from one team that was kind of boring there to a team that could very well. This is another team where who knows? Because this is a team that has a lot of top prospects and a major league team that does not really need the help right now from their prospects. The Dodgers currently have 6 guys in the top 100. Josue DePaula is 25th. Zaire Hope is 34th. Alex Freeland is 39th. Jackson Ferris is 66th. Eduardo Torrero is 87th. And Mike Sirota is 98th. This is another team that I feel like can trade away their top guys and not really feel it too much. Now, granted, I don't think they're trading away a DePaula or a Hope. I think that those guys, they want to develop a little bit, but depends on the prospect they can get, or depends on the player that they can get. We all know the Dodgers will continue to be all in, and I think they will look for bullpen pitching. I think they'll look for more elite top of the end guys. So someone like a Yohan Duran, a Griffin Jacks, someone like that, to bolster their bullpen. I would not be surprised if they go after another starter to help them get to the end of the season, really, or two. I think that this is a Dodgers team that's just going to go and trade for a bunch of pitching. And here's the thing: when you look at it, Alex Freeland, he could be the shortstop, but that's Tommy Edman right now. He could be the third baseman. It's Max Muncy right now, potentially. Jackson Ferris, left-handed, I don't mind him. Outfielder, they're kind of filled up on outfielders, and granted, these are high A and A ball. They have a lot of really young talent, high A, rookie ball, A ball. So a lot of their top guys are all very, very young, which I think would make it hurt less for them to trade these guys away. I think we see a lot. I think we could see the Dodgers trade a lot of their top guys, a lot of their top young guys, and look to continue to compete and continue to make those big splash moves, which I think they absolutely can. Whether it's a Duran, whether it's a Class A, or something along those lines, I think that the Dodgers are going to be in the market for top echelon relief pitching. David Bednar as well could be somebody who that they can be interested in. Top starting pitching, once again, going back to Merrill Kelly and back to Zach Gallen. But I think this is a team that will also be in the market for Sandy Alcantara and players like that, and Edward Cabrera if the Marlins are looking to deal him. I think that this Dodgers team could look at some starting pitching and look to go get the top guys because their farm system absolutely will allow it. So the Dodgers can trade a lot of these top guys away. I think when it comes to the deadline, I think Jackson Ferris will be their top guy traded away. but would not surprise me to see that be Alex Freeland, depending on who they're looking to go get. Two more teams remaining to look over who their top guys could be traded at this deadline, and the Giants do not have that strong of a farm system when it comes to it. Bryce Eldridge is their only top 100 prospect. Granted, he is number 18 in according to MLB.com. And I'm going to go on a limb. Ready? I think Bryce Eldridge could be traded this year. I think he'll either be traded or he will be a Giant for the playoff run. And I think that's the one or two. That 2026 tag for him, I think they give him a shot earlier than that. It's either that or Buster Posey will trade him away for a big name splash, because we've already seen them make one splash with Rafael Devers. I think that Buster Posey and that ownership, or in that general manager and that and their crew could be very aggressive trading away prospects. Carson Whisenhunt, I think, is traded. I think he is a change of scenery type of guy. He's been in AAA for a while now with Sacramento, and I think that he needs to just I think he needs to get moved. And I think he absolutely could get moved at the deadline. I think it's the safer pick to say that he is the best prospect going to be traded away by the Giants this year. Would not shock me to see Bryce Eldridge get moved though as well. So I'm going to say for this exercise, Carson Whisenhunt is going to be the top guy traded. If they're looking more at rental guys, someone like a Mason Black or a Maui Ahana, I think it absolutely could get traded. A Wade Meckler, something along those lines. They have a lot of decent guys in AAA as well. That Sacramento team has a lot of their top guys. Unlike the Dodgers, who have a lot of more younger guys, the Giants have a little bit more of AAA guys and things along those lines. If they want to trade those guys away for rentals and things like that, or throw a couple of them into a package for a bigger name guy, I think that the Giants can make some moves, but I think they've already made their big splash. And if they want to make another big splash like they did with the Rafael Devers trade, it's going to probably start with Bryce Eldridge. So I could say he potentially could be their top prospect traded at the deadline, but I'm going to say safely Carson Whisenhunt will be. Final team, the San Diego Padres, who have two players in the top 100, and depending on how AJ Preller feels about this team, who is currently in the wild card right now, and we know that Preller loves to go aggressive, trading away prospects and stuff like that. I think if the right guy comes along, I think if they want to go get Jared Duran, they're gonna have to say goodbye to Leo DeVries or Ethan Salas. I think that they absolutely, if they're going to be aggressive at the deadline, they're going to trade the best available prospect out of anybody, other than maybe Bryce Eldridge, because I think Ethan Salas is a change of scenery guy. He's already in AA at 19 years old, so they've moved him pretty quick. And I could see Salas being somebody who's moved at the deadline if they get a good enough piece back. Now, granted, their catching right now in San Diego is terrible, but Ethan Salas is nowhere near being a MLB ready player. So I don't know how much that'll go into play with it. But with that being said, if the right player comes along, if they want Jared Duran, they're going to have to part ways with Ethan Salas or Leo DeVries. I would lean probably more towards Ethan Salas being that guy. I think Ethan Salas could be the top guy traded at the deadline. I think Aiden Miller of the Phillies could be the top guy traded at the deadline. If the right guy comes along, those would be my top guys, which would be 23 and 25 in all of baseball. So that is everything, though. That is all the teams that I had written down to go over for buyers at the deadline for what type of prospects could be traded away. Kind of give you guys an idea that a lot of these packages for rentals and stuff like that, they're not going to net top guys. They're just not. We saw that last year. A lot of rentals are going to be anywhere between the 8 to 13 range when it comes to team rankings, depending on the system and things along those lines. Maybe if it's a weaker system like the Astros, you're looking more like 5 to 7. But that's what we could look at for potentially the top prospects traded away. A lot of these top 100 prospects are on bad teams as well. So obviously, like when we look at the top 100 prospects, and I mean Roman Anthony's number one, the Red Sox are not moving him. I believe Bubba Chandler is number 2, if I remember. Chase Burns is number 2. The Reds are not trading him. Leo DeVries, I think, could be the top guy, but that would have to be a Jarren Duran trade. Sebastian Walcott ain't going nowhere of the Texas Rangers. Bubba Chandler ain't going nowhere. Kevin McGonigal, I think, is untradeable. So is Jesus Mate. So is Andrew Painter. Maybe Samuel Basallo could be that guy. But the Orioles are nowhere near buying. Max Clark getting traded. Connor Griffin ain't getting traded. Jordan Lawler, I think, takes over when a couple of guys leave in free agency from the Diamondbacks. Walker Jenkins is not getting traded. Neither is Travis Bazzana. Noah Schultz isn't getting traded. Cole Emerson's not. JJ Weatherholt's not. Bryce Eldridge, I think, could be the top guy traded to 18 if the Giants want to be aggressive. So that's kind of where I'm looking at for the trade deadline. Let me know who you think will be the top prospect traded at the trade deadline. And what type of player would that player need to be in a package for? If we're talking an Ethan Salas or a Bryce Eldridge, is it someone like a Jarren Duran? Is it a big name pitcher with a lot of control? Let me know down in the comment section below. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. I want to thank you guys as always for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.